Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am here with you lecture number 14 from the chapter Introduction to Psychology of the course Educational Psychology EDUC 3112. In the previous lecture we have seen and revised the concept of educational psychology, its nature and function. Now we will see in this lecture that what is the practical nature of educational psychology whenever we are concerned with the teaching as a practice. Four-way teaching agenda of educational psychology. According to this discipline, psychology helps teaching and learning process. It does not provide guidelines for the teachers only, but also to the students, curriculum developers, as well as the learning situation designers. So we come up with different solutions and practical implications that how psychology provides help to the teachers as well as to the learners and learning situation. Starting from that, what are the subtopics to be taught in this concept? Four-way teaching agenda of educational psychology. We will see that student characteristics, those are shaped under this discipline. Teacher characteristics, the teacher takes guidelines and applies the rules, principles and laws and different theories of psychology whenever she or he is teaching. Then comes up with the teaching strategies. Teaching strategies means that what are the teaching techniques adopted by the teachers to teach. Although some teachers have some specific kind of methodology that they use to teach, but it does not confine to the all type of content and subject matter. So according to the topic and subject to be taught, teacher use variety of strategies and methods. So psychology provides help in selection of appropriate teaching techniques and methods to better teach as well as for the better learning of the learners. Lastly, we will see that what are the guidelines provided by the psychology for this subject matter selection. What content to be included in the book and what will be the hierarchy of that material, from where to start and where to end, and what kind of examples and materials and theories to be discussed, and what will be the level of the depth of the material to be taught to the students under different age groups and brackets. So we will see these one by one. Student characteristics. It is evident that students have different characteristics. Psychology helps us that according to their different characteristics we should deal them whenever we are concerned with teaching and learning process. Starting from the physical characteristics. फिजिकल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स में उनकी एज आ जाती है, उनका मेंटल कैलिबर आ जाता है और उनका इंटरेस्ट आ जाता है, जिससे हमें पता लगता है psychology provides us help that how likely we are concerned and confined to their physical age. Next is psychological. The psyche level and the mental level and ability level of the student must be kept in the mind whenever he or she is going to be taught. Next is cognitive level. Cognitive characteristics mean that all the students do not possess similar characteristics and mental capabilities. You all are sitting in the same class but perceiving the same lecture in different ways. So it means that cognitive levels are different and we need to teach all the students according to their mental caliber. Next is personal. So the personal characteristics vary from one another. Personal characteristics have variety of meanings. Those can be your habits, study habits, as well as your abilities, which are different from one another. We have seen this point in under the topic of individual differences, so it is a good revision here that how personal characteristics makes one individual different from the other. Next is moral. Moralities are not the same. Some are highly valued people and some are less practicing of the values. So moral characteristics में भी सब students एक जैसे नहीं होते, they are different from one another. Next is motivations. Some students are intrinsically motivated, some are extrinsically motivated, some are timely motivated, some are permanent motivated. So it means that we need to motivate the students as a teacher and we should know that what are the motives that easily direct the behavior of the students. Next is individual and group behavior. It means we perform differently whenever we are working individually or whenever we are working in the group. Special needs mean there are different characteristics. Some are physically able and some are differently able. So different characteristics and deficiencies makes individuals different from one another. So we should need to take and view all the needs of the individuals and students whenever we are teaching them. Next is their culture and gender. According to the culture and gender, we see that students differ from each other. So their culture, we see that in foreign countries culture is different and study habits are even different. And gender means that research reports that according to different gender, male and female, different subjects are more likely to be read by different people. It is a research based fact that boys are good in computational skills, which is their mathematical and physics skills, whereas girls are more proficient in their language and art. So it is a research based fact. We can not generalize it to all people, but we can say that people are different from their culture on the basis of their culture and gender. Psychology helps us to determine not only the differences but also try to teach all the students having these differences and trying to teach them accordingly. Next is teacher characteristics. So teachers are having different characteristics, such as they have attitudes towards learning. It means that teacher is a learner throughout his or her life. If a teacher is a learner, he is a successful person in the life, because learning does not stop at any point of age. It goes on and on. Whenever you are learning new material, having a new situation, you learn more. Attitudes towards the students. It means that teachers have different characteristics. You have seen in your past years that teachers deal students with different kind of things. You must have heard about favoritism और individual differences का कोई लोग ख्याल नहीं करते. तो what are the attitude of teacher towards his students? It is guided by psychology. Attitude towards staff. It means that how likely a teacher is friendly with the other colleagues and what is the behavior of one teacher towards the other teaching and non-teaching staff. Next is understanding of research. It means that how likely a teacher incorporate different findings of the research in his or her teaching, whether he is a follower of change and transformation, or he or she is only confined to the content knowledge which is to be taught to the students. So these make students and teachers different from one another, and psychology is there to help out the teachers as well as the students. Next is teaching strategies. So we can see that the spectra and implication level of psychology does not confine only to the students and teachers. It has a broader application which is spread around whole system of education, which includes learners, teachers, learning situation, assessment, evaluation, and teaching strategies. So what are the methodologies and strategies adopted by the teacher? Psychology helps there as well. Number one is learning theories in practice. In the previous lecture, you have gone through the learning concept and its theories. So this is a learning theories in practice, means that how a teacher put the theoretical knowledge into the practice to better assure the learning level of the students. It means we should apply the learning theories into the practice, which is trial and error method, enforcement method, motivation method. So how can you motivate and encourage the good performance of the students and try to achieve the desired behavior? Teaching methods. While adopting different teaching methodologies, psychology helps the teachers to adopt the relevant one. Individual methods mean according to different subjects, some individual methods are confined. So teachers are taking help with the educational psychology. Next is lesson planning. A teacher does not enter into the class without lesson planning, whether that is written or whether that is in his or her mind. So lesson planning means that teacher plan his teaching, and according to that planning he delivers the lecture, and psychology helps him to plan well according to the time, age, difficulty level of the content and other sub points. Lesson planning is done on the part of teacher. Variation in structure. It means that the content knowledge is different and the context in which teaching is occurring, that is different. So according to those variations, how likely he modifies his or her teaching, it is taught by educational psychology. Student discipline is very important factor, that without discipline, maintaining the discipline, teacher cannot teach all to the students up to a good level, because distortion, noise and the disturbance create and does not let the learning occur profoundly. So a good teacher takes the help with the help of psychology and tries to keep the student discipline in the classroom. Next one is questioning. A good teacher adopts certain strategy to answer the questions of the students, and he does not discourage the students to not to ask the questions. Next is use of test. It means that a good teacher use best of the test, that he or she knows that when to conduct a test and what are the maximum approaches to be adopted while taking the test of the students, whether to take the oral test or the written test or the viva voice or whatever the strategy. According to the need and context, teacher adopts that type of test. Lastly, we will see that the application of educational psychology in subject matter. It means that whenever we are going to select the material and books and knowledge to be delivered to you, what is the role of educational psychology there? Starting from one point, structure of discipline. It means that if you are going to teach and read about psychology, so what will be the structure of that discipline? What are the maximum range of topics you are going to teach in that particular subject? It is decided with the help of educational psychology. Next is basic concept of material being taught. So it is decided prior to the teaching that what will be the material, and basic concept of the material taught means that whether you will be go into the detail of every topic or you will be given with different examples and depth will be decided. Sequencing of subject matter means the organization of the material, whether you will be taught directly or easy to difficult, whatever will be the sequence. Easy to difficult, easy chapters will be on the start, then some difficult units, and later on the most difficult ones. So this is the sequencing of subject matter. Next is priorities in content selection. It means that there are a variety of content relevant to one discipline. We need to select out of the range of content, and because we cannot make a lengthy course, लेंथ को भी ख्याल में रखना है और कंटेंट भी रेलिवेंट ऐड करना है, तो हमें साइकोलॉजी हेल्प करती है. एट द लास्ट, इट इज अबाउट डिग्री ऑफ स्पेशलाइज्ड कंटेंट. इट मीन्स दैट what will be the level of skill acquiring, because one can learn the whole book but specialization can be done in only one field. जैक ऑफ ऑल ट्रेड्स तो नहीं इंसान हर तरह से बन सकता, आपने किसी एक स्किल के ऊपर प्रोफिशिएंसी हासिल करनी होती है. तो ये हमें साइकोलॉजी बताती है कि स्पेशलाइज्ड कंटेंट या स्पेशलाइजेशन के लिए कौन सा मटेरियल रेलेवेंट है और उसको किस डेप्थ में या किस हद तक पढ़ना है. सो दिस इज अबाउट योर 4-way teaching agenda of psychology. It means that psychology helps us in determining different student characteristics, teacher characteristics, teaching methodologies and strategies, and the selection of subject matter. In all these 4 points, we have seen that what is the practical nature of educational psychology and how it is helpful for us in becoming a good teacher as well as a good learner. Thank you.